and plugging in the tin cans. And it looks like we are live. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody, all my little TeaFlix chums. Now, how these weeks seem to just flash by.
Happy
I think I
Tuesday.
said last week, it's the only day of the week I really know what day it is.
That and Monday, the trash day.
Oh,
right?
it's trash day. Oh, the highlights of my life.
Mhm.
What a celebrity life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trash day, yeah. So I only hope that very soon we'll be able to get out more and do things, but I'm still a bit wary. I like to be careful, being an old broad of 93 years old.
Is that all you are?
Yeah. Thanks,
You,
pal.
you look way older than 93.
Oh, do you like hospital food?
Elder abuse.
Yeah, absolutely. So now listen, we have a couple of very interesting guests today, Harriet Rossetto and Rabbi Mark
Rossetto.
Borovitz,
Yes.
and they have a story and a half to tell. And I was looking at online about their book and their story and all their
The
screen.
Jewish jail lady and the holy thief. That should give you a clue.
Yeah. And I was looking at Amazon and it says, a con man, a mobster, and a rabbi walk into a Jewish halfway house. What do they all have in common? They're all the same guy. And we've got him here for you today with his lovely wife. So
And Harriet was brave and crazy enough to not only hire him, but then marry him.
marry him.
But you'll see, he's irresistible. You'll see in just a minute. So the crowd goes wild. Without further ado, we would like to welcome all the way from Palm Springs, live and in color, Rabbi Mark and Harriet. Good morning.
Hello, folks.
Good morning. That's a great introduction.
Not bad, eh?
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah, I work cheap too if you need me. I work for a cup of tea.
And it's trash day here too.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's
100
right. That's right.
degrees.
So we've
yeah.
got folks on from all over the world, from Scotland, Houston, Texas, Israel. Ephrat's on from Israel. Shalom, my friend. And great. So I'm so glad that we recently reconnected, but I think we should let the audience in on our little secret about how we all met through the
Yes.
lovely, late, great
Glenn Goss.
Glenn Goss.
Oh, what a
sweetheart.
lovely man he was, and so talented. And of course, like many others, he was a Beatle fan, and that's how he found me online. And we started communicating. And then he asked, why don't you guys come and do a musical evening at Beit T'Shuvah? So we did. They set that up, and we had a lovely time. And we did one or two of those.
Yep.
And that's how we met you two guys, wasn't it?
Right. We had put the Friday night prayers to Beatles music
Yeah.
and Rolling Stones and others. We had themed Shabbats, and Glenn got the idea to get in touch with you two.
Yeah.
And ask you to come. And it was an amazing evening as we were saying the prayers and you were giving the backstory on how the songs came to be and the whole
Yes.
relationship. It was just we had done it before and we've done it since, but it never had that flavor and that richness.
Ah,
just-
no, we really.
Harriet's 85.
No
Oh,
way.
just a mere child.
So
long
the
way
two-
to go, Harriet.
that I would never guess the two of you are the ages you say you are. Just saying.
Oh, you silver-tongued beast, you.
Never. It was
Smooth
more
talker.
genius to make the Friday night religious services at our halfway house fun and
Yes.
alive. And to reach the people who were in recovery where they were, rather than the old traditional liturgy and music. And our services became like a real show. It was a cross between a traditional Jewish service, a revival meeting, and a rock concert.
That's right.
Nobody else had done that. So
Well, I was
that's
surprised.
the con man and the gangster.
Well, it was certainly a spirited, wonderful evening, and we got there the first time we came to meet you guys over there. I was astonished that you actually had a recording studio in the facility. So winding back, we'll get to that in a minute. But winding back, tell the story about Harriet, how you started Beit T'Shuvah, what it means, and than how you met this Lothario over here.
Well, I am now called the Jewish jail lady, and that came to be when I answered an ad in the Los Angeles Times in 1984, looking for a person of Jewish background and culture to work with Jewish criminal offenders who had a master's degree. And for me, it was a miraculous moment. I had gone to a science of mind practitioner and prayed to be guided to my rightful work. And I was looking for a mission, had never found it at almost 50. But I was a nice Jewish girl and I like bad boys. So when I saw an ad for a person of Jewish background and culture to work with Jewish criminal offenders, I knew a miracle had happened, and I didn't call it a coincidence. I heard it as a calling, and that sustained me. And in my work, we visited Jewish inmates in county, state, and federal penal institutions, one of which was Chino State Prison, where this man, my beloved, was then an inmate, and he was the rabbi's clerk. And they called me to come to find out about this place I had started called Beit T'Shuvah, the house of return, the house of repentance. And that was our first meeting, and we hated one another.
Wow.
Wow.
He came, and then we became friends, and then we shared the mission, and then we fell in love, and then we got married.
That's amazing. And so, but after you were released, Rabbi Mark, you weren't a rabbi when you were incarcerated, correct? And you went through rabbinical school because of Beit T'Shuvah and because of your redemption and all of that. How did that come about?
Right. So in prison, I started to study because I knew it was the only thing that would help. And there was a rabbi there who embraced me, Rabbi Mel Silverman. And I started to study Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel and the Torah and the Bible. And I started to see myself in every chapter. So
Wow.
In the Garden of Eden story, when God calls out, Ayeka, where are you? I realized that people have been calling, where are you, Mark? God had been calling me for so many years, and I had just been deaf. My daughter had been calling me for years, and I couldn't hear her. Wow. And then I got a letter from my daughter right around in the same week that said, "Dear Daddy, I hate you. You're a part of me. You're in jail. A part of me is in jail. I didn't do anything to be in jail. Love, Heather." She was 6.5 years old when she wrote that.
Oh my goodness. How profound.
Right. And so I knew that change. And then I read about Jacob, who was a con man and a thief and a cheat and a liar, and he changed. So I really believed the change was possible.
Yeah.
And then when I got out, I needed a job. Harriet had thrown down a challenge. If you're so smart, she was very nasty and snobbish towards me. She said, "If you're so smart, when you get out, come help me." And I did. And I showed up and I went to work there. And with the exception of 1 year, I worked there from 1988 until 2020.
Wow.
And then a rabbinic school opened on the West Coast. When was that?
1996.
Gosh,
And
okay.
Mark had been looking he knew he needed some kind of degree, and he didn't want to be a therapist. And so I said to him, and his rabbi said to him, "Well, why don't you go to rabbinic school?" And he had, 2 weeks to apply?
Yeah, a week.
And he got it all together, and it was a real long shot. What new rabbinic school is going to take as a rabbinic student an ex-felon,
Right.
Yeah.
He got in. And that was his moment of miracle.
Yeah.
No, baby, my moment of miracle was you.
Yeah.
Oh,
my God.
I told you what a smooth talker this guy is.
No, but the thing is, he means it.
I know you do.
I do. And
Yeah.
and so I went to rabbinic school and I was ordained. And but what happened was when I was accepted, when I got the letter, and I drove down, we were downtown on Lake Street at that time. And I drove down and every resident that was there was standing outside. They had made a banner. And what I realized was that I didn't get into rabbinical school. We all,
Yeah.
people in recovery, got accepted by the Jewish community.
Ah.
And
Nice.
that changed everything for so many people.
Right. We were all ordained then as
Yes.
legitimate human beings, even though we were imperfect, recovering addicts, cons, thieves. We were
Wow.
redeemed.
What a
And
story.
then
And
we,
so
Mhm.
do you think that's why Beit T'Shuvah had such a real family kind of feeling? Because that was when Martin and I would go over there with Nate and Glenn Goss to the studio to rehearse our Beatles Shabbat. Everybody I met without exception, it felt like a giant family reunion every time I went there.
Mm.
Yeah, community was the healing agent. Addicts, well, all people, but addicts particularly crave connection. And
Aha.
Johann Hari, who's a recovery guru, said the opposite of addiction is not sobriety. The opposite of addiction is connection. And
Yeah.
we connected, all of us, and we connected a lot through music, which is really how this all came to be with you. Because music is a great connector. It's a universal language, and it brings together people from all diverse kinds of backgrounds. And it's very important, the connection piece.
right, and we did everything wrong. In other words,
That's what we were.
we didn't care what the right thing was. We
Okay.
wanted to just help people. So at Beit T'Shuvah, even though Harriet and I were running the place, first under the auspices of Gateways Hospital, and then under our own 501c3. Beit T'Shuvah is a 501c3.
Uh-huh.
So there's a board, but our offices were open for every resident.
Wow.
Nobody, in fact, for the first 20 years or so, we interviewed everybody before they came in. We were the first people they met
Yeah.
before they even went to intake to see if they, to do the paperwork and this and that, because we wanted them to know that there were people who cared and it wasn't a top-down organization.
Yeah, and the family feel, I think, that you picked up is really because everybody there was our kids. I mean,
Yeah.
they are our family. And
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm loud and I'm boisterous, and
No.
prior to retirement, I was a little impatient, and so I would do things that were completely insane.
Such
I mean, we
as.
used to study the Bible at 6:00 in the morning for men, 7:00 for women, and then 6:00 for women, 7:00 for men. And it was, everybody had to be there. And we went through it and we saw how the Bible spoke to us. We had big book studies. We studied, you name it, anything that would help people spiritually and emotionally, we engaged in. And Harriet set this program up where there was an integration of 12 steps, Judaism, and psychology.
Wow.
And what happened was you didn't have to be Jewish to be there.
Right.
And everybody found their spirituality. Okay.
Yeah, I think by studying things like the Torah and the Bible and history, as a child growing up, going to, first of all, a Catholic school, it really does give you a sense of where you are in the timeline of mankind, right? So if you look back into history and you see all these terrible things that people overcame, it makes it more possible for you to apply those lessons to yourself and overcome your struggles and your
That's right.
go in the tumble dryer, the spin cycle, because I honestly believe if you don't have a sense of or an understanding or an appreciation for history, you can't possibly walk into a future that you control. You let the universe take some control, but that you have a plan and a path. If you don't get the past, how can you get the future?
Mm.
And I think it's important to realize that the recovery movement, AA, and all of its offshoots brought together, really for the first time in mental health, the spiritual and the psychological.
Yes.
Mhm.
Science and spirit had been enemies for a long time. The scientists, the religious people were superstitious. It wasn't valid. It wasn't research. So
Yes.
recovery and Carl Jung actually helped Bill Wilson develop the 12 steps. And he said, spiritum contra spiritus, that a spiritual experience is necessary to overcome the power of the spirits of alcohol.
Ah,
It was revolutionary, really.
yes.
No kidding. I didn't know
Absolutely.
that
No.
Carl, I mean, obviously everybody knows who Carl Jung is, but I didn't realize that
His
him
involvement.
and Dr. Bill were, in connected.
Dr. Bill and Carl Jung had a correspondence.
Dr. Bob. It was Bill Wilson and Dr.
Dr.
Bob.
Bob, and had a correspondence with Jung after Jung and Freud broke up over God. Freud was avidly secular and ridiculed religion, and he and Jung split up over God.
Wow.
Amazing though.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
So now you were downtown on Lake Street, and what year, at what point did you then find, and what's the story of finding the Culver City location that you guys had?
Well, we started stepping over dead bodies on the steps. The neighborhood really was gang ridden. And the way we evolved, whenever a need appeared, the person who could fill it also appeared. And one of the very important philanthropists in LA had a family member who needed our help.
Okay.
And that led to the possibility of a capital campaign and of separating from gays and buying our own place and raising money. It takes a person of influence,
Of course.
And she came right at the time when we said, oh my God, we got to get out of here. And we raised $5 million.
Yeah, 1998. The Jewish community raised $5 million to help drunks, drug addicts, and criminals. And Warren Breslow was a part of that, a big part of it. And he had been coming because his wife worked there, his late wife. And
I see.
What happened was she was working there. He would come on Friday nights. He drove a very nice car, and he was always nervous. Now, we did have a deal. I want to tell you the Lake Street, how crazy it was. The gangs the Salvadorian gang would not sell dope to anybody who walked out of our house, out of Lake Street.
Wow.
And they watched our cars.
They watched our cars. Our cars never got broken into, never had bullet holes, nothing.
Wow.
And I said to the shot caller, I said, okay, listen, I respect you. I get it. What is the deal? He said, you and your place are blessed by God, and we don't fuck with God.
Good decision.
Nicely put.
Honor among thieves. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's exactly the way he put it, Angie. We just laughed.
Yeah, well, not a good idea because, karma being what it is. And God, she's always listening.
Oh, yeah.
She's nosy.
So that's how it happened. And then we moved, and we had 35 people stuffed into this old house, and we bought this 40,000 square foot place. And I said, oh my God, how are we ever going to fill this up? And it was filled within a month.
No,
Yeah.
no. It took. The truth is, we moved it in November of 1999, and by February we were full with 140 people, and we just
And a
stayed
wait
down.
list. And a wait list. Huh?
Right.
Yep.
I know many people who shall remain nameless who literally they say they owe their lives to you guys and the organization and the community and the family. They
The
are,
thing
you know,
I feel best about over the years is that we never became greedy, and we never became an industry. We never turned anybody away from Beit T'Shuvah because they couldn't pay.
wow.
And that's pretty miraculous.
Yes.
No
Yeah,
kidding. I mean,
absolutely.
just the food and water and toilet paper bill alone for 140 people.
Yeah, Mark talked the board into it. He said, we lose money all the time, but like Harriet says, we make it up in volume.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
And
That's amazing.
what happened was we were raising anywhere, it ramped up, but we were raising $4 or $5 million a year, so that nobody would be turned away.
Great. That's
Amazing, isn't
fantastic.
it? Yeah.
Well, it's kind of the St. Jude theory, isn't it? They do so much fundraising because no family ever gets a bill from St. Jude if they can't afford it.
Right.
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 But it's
Fundraising
just
is not the most fun part of the deal.
it's just so rare though, because if you
Yeah.
look at the overall healthcare industry, including mental health, addiction treatment, and so on, it's become such an industry and paperwork, insurance, and deductibles, and it's just awful. And it must be terrible for people like you, like yourselves, who have the heart and the will and the wish to do this, but they're all caught up in, we can't accept your insurance. It must break their hearts.
Bureaucracy crushes the spirit. It really does.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely
Mm.
true. So
Yeah,
now
I mean,
what? Go ahead.
So one of the things that happened was that because we have a drug and alcohol license, one day somebody from the state came and said, well, you can't have people who aren't drug addicts or alcoholics.
And we had a compulsive gambling program at the time.
And we said, why not?
Yeah.
Well, because, I said, but it's all you're the Department of Mental Health, and this is mental health.
Yeah, gambling sure is, absolutely.
Now, every other state person who came prior to that knew what we were doing, and just nobody cared.
Right.
And this one person said, well, but you're outside the box. I said, I live outside the box.
We don't even have a box.
Yeah.
Yeah. What box?
What box? Sure.
Yeah.
So, then that made a change. I mean, it's lunacy.
Yeah.
It's like, people say, well, there's addiction and then there's mental health. And I'm like, are you crazy or just stupid?
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
And when I say that, people don't appreciate me so much.
Wow.
Do you want a funny story? You want a funny story about the early days in bureaucracy?
Yeah.
So an investigator comes from the Department of Drug and Alcohol because there was a complaint. And they won't tell us what the complaint is, but they want to interview residents. They're interviewing residents, and then finally I said, what's the deal?
Right.
Tell us. We got a complaint that the rabbi says fuck.
I know he does. I've heard him.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I said, so?
Oh,
And I mean, it was just a riot because everybody, all the residents, they all did it. They said,
yeah,
our rabbi never swears, doesn't, he's a rabbi. What are you talking about? And
that's great.
they would walk out cracking up.
That's
And then they told everybody else. So, everybody walked in, and one woman just said, please, how could you? I mean, she went off on this investigator saying, don't you ever defame my rabbi. And on and on. The investigator she said, you all are crazy.
well, yeah.
It's an unsubstantiated complaint. So that's how we're going to deal with it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
But
funny.
she was like, She didn't know which way was
The
up.
rabbi talks the language of the people he serves.
Right.
Well,
That's right.
and that's back
Exactly.
to making your
Yes.
traditional your services with the music of the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, and you meet the people where they are, right? Otherwise, it's another thing that it's another journey, another step they have to take. They're already dealing with 12. They don't need 13 steps, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. So now you have obviously retired from city life. You're living out in the glorious California desert. But tell us, how did this documentary, The Jewish Jail Lady and the Holy Thief, come about and come to get made? And where are you with it?
We were approached by the filmmaker Barry Rosenthal, who had heard about us at an AA meeting. He had moved to LA recently from Massachusetts and was looking for a place for the high holidays to go to temple. And he didn't know where to go. And somebody said, hey, you ought to go to this 12-step Jewish rehab place. And he came and was smitten with the music. And then he came to Beit T'Shuvah, and that sold him. And he said, I want to tell your story.
Wow.
And I came up with the title, The
Yes.
Jewish Jail Lady and the Holy Thief.
And which one's which? Which one's which?
No comment.
Made it, and it's been in a number of film festivals. You can do that part.
Yeah, we've been in a number of film festivals. We're also in different synagogues across the country. We're going to Chicago with it. It's going to be in Washington, D.C. through Adas, Israel. And we're going to go to Spokane in November for a weekend. We've been in Atlanta. We've been just doing so much, It's like hit and miss. We get very busy, and then there's nothing, and then we're busy.
It's film season.
We're hoping that somebody wants to pick it up.
It was
no doubt.
Documentary in Santa Barbara.
In Santa Barbara.
Jewish Film Festival.
Audience award in Long Beach and in Columbus, Ohio, So
fantastic.
People really like it. We tell our stories. We're very open. We hide nothing.
Right.
It's not R-rated.
That helps people to identify with you, doesn't it?
Right.
Not be sort of just see you as people on a pedestal that fully understands them, and they can bare their souls to you.
That's right.
And get started.
Most of us came from our own addictions and found each other and used our own experience to help other people recover.
Yes.
We should introduce you to our friend who was on about 3 or 4 weeks ago, called Denny Tedesco. He made a musical film called The Wrecking Crew about the band the studio session band. His father was Tommy Tedesco, the guitar player. And it was Carol Kay, the bass player, Glenn Campbell, Hal Blaine was the drummer. And he's more recently, and he did the whole circuit like you've done, and he does showings and tickets and money raises and all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. And he's got some relationships which, who knows, may be helpful. And then he's just made another film called The Immediate Family about the session band of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Leland Sklar, the bass player, Russell Kunkel, Danny Korchmar, who was Don Henley's musical partner, Waddy Wachtel and Steve Postel. And so he is very well versed in film festivals, distribution, the whole circuit and what have you. If you go on our YouTube channel, which is where we'll post this after today's broadcast, go and have a look at his interview and let me know, if you guys would like an introduction, if you think if there's any connection there where he might be able to help you, navigate the circuit and learn from his experience. Yeah. I'm sure he'd love to talk to you guys.
I think we would like that, right?
Right. Yes, we would. How are your teas, Angie?
Oh, okay. A bit slow, but steady.
It'll pick up for Mother's Day. Everybody wants to give money.
And then there's National Tea Day. I think it's the 22nd of April, which is also the late Queen's birthday. And it was instituted in England in honor of the Queen some years ago.
Everybody has high tea.
High tea, afternoon tea.
And kosher sausage rolls. That's funny.
Mm.
That's wild.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
okay, so you guys are going. When do you go to Chicago? Where is it going to be on up there? And
May,
how
May 5th.
okay.
May 5th.
Our friend Albert Percoco is in the Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
He's on, and he's actually a little bit outside Chicago, but we'll let all our Chicago peeps know. We'll get the details from you.
Yeah, we're
And
going to
if
be in Evanston, actually, is the closest city to where we're going to be. And
yeah,
he
Yeah.
can find out through the Jewish Recovery Network. They'll have all the information.
Oh, cool. Okay.
and
Good.
you've also got a couple of websites which we've been scrolling across the bottom here. So there's rabbimark.com, which is like a link tree to absolutely everything: podcasts, blogs, film festivals, articles, LA Times, all of that stuff. And then the Jewish Jail, is it Jewish Jail Lady or thejewishjaillady.com?
TheJewishJailLady.com.
Thejewishjaillady.com. And follow these two fascinating, wonderful, life-saving people. I know our team.
And if people want or need help or need to talk to us, we will be available for that too.
Right.
Oh,
We're
good.
here to help.
Bless you.
That's fantastic.
That's
Well,
wonderful.
as Elizabeth said earlier on in the chat, the world needs more people like you two. Seriously.
Martin
Martin's just popping in to say
he wants
hi
to
and
say
bye.
hello.
He wants to say hello.
Yeah.
And blessings.
Hi there.
I'm Martin. Happy birthday, too. Happy
Thank
birthday,
you.
Martin.
Nice
Thank
to
you
be
very
with
much.
you.
It was
It's
a
good to
great
see
show.
you.
It was a great
Thanks.
show. We had really good reactions from all over the world.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
It's,
All right, and next time we're in LA, we'll try and catch up.
Okay.
Absolutely.
for a cup of tea.
Yeah.
You bet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for
God
your time,
bless.
kids. We'll see you
God
on
bless.
the flip
Thank
side.
you.
Lots of love.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye. Lots of love.